Everyone that's watching, I'm Chris. This is Sasha. Sasha's our head of people ops, and actually we had a meeting scheduled this morning to talk about the impact of the coronavirus and what policies and processes we're going to put in place at Trainual. And we thought we would just roll the cameras because your business is probably going through the same types of conversations, and maybe it'll be helpful if we're transparent about how we're thinking about this. And we'd love to have a discussion in the comments or whatever below to see what your team is doing to prepare. So Sasha, you've been off to get, your birthday was over the weekend.
Yeah.
You took a day off, so we haven't talked about this, but basically, quick recap. I think the market crashed in the US on Monday.
Love to
Crashed,
hear that.
I don't know, went down significantly. And Tuesday wasn't that much better. And what day is today? Wednesday now? So it feels like the mood has changed a little bit. Like I think over the last few weeks, the coronavirus thing was obviously serious, and there's certain countries that it's impacted really heavily, and there was the cruise ship situation, and so I think we were looking at it from afar like we would with any other kind of tragedy from afar. But then you start seeing cases pop up locally, and now it seems like there's red flags going up everywhere, and the news is basically saying like in 3 weeks, every person will be total quarantine in their house, lockdown. And so how do you balance like the panic with the preparation?
You've got to build your business around your life and not your life around your business.
Business ads are going to sell you a fake lifestyle of supercars and fancy mansions.
You can get a business up and running really quickly.
For me, first thing is just making sure I'm doing everything I can to prevent. And so it's been brushing up on best practices. It's becoming really focused on hygiene, which seems simple, but like wiping down your desk, wiping down door handles, doing a double wash every time you wash your hands, using warm water instead of cold water, like going the extra mile to actually make sure you're killing germs, and thinking through like how touching something and then touching your face.
Did you see that
could
Google
spread.
Doc that Jonathan posted?
No, which one?
It's in Slack. We can post a link to it, but I think it's like a publicly shared Google Doc where they're taking all the links from different companies' policies and stuff, and I think that's really cool. So we should share that in the video. But I was reading through it all, and it's like companies are posting their internal communication with their employees. They're posting the links to the blog posts on their website, and you see kind of everybody is sharing these like hygiene best practices, but that's like square one, like obviously everybody should have good hygiene, and that's where we started. You sent out a note to everybody. But what's like, do we go further than that at this point? I know some companies, like big companies, have just said like, shut down the office. No one's coming in. Like, I don't feel like we're there, but what are your thoughts?
I don't know. I'm totally torn. I feel like on one hand, we should be working remotely and doing everything we can to prevent the spread of corona or any other diseases. And so maybe because we have the infrastructure and the tools, like Trainual being one of them, to manage a remote workforce, we should just do that for a bit. But then kind of a little scary because you don't know when that remote work will stop. We have no idea when corona will be done, if it will ever be done. And I don't know. I think it's hard to just shut down the office. And we only have 21 people here in this office, and I feel like right now, today, could totally change this afternoon or tomorrow, but we just do, like, if anyone's uncomfortable, if they're pregnant and they don't feel safe coming here, like, you work from home. If you have any sort of conditions, work from home. We're totally remote optimized and support any sort of remote work, but if you want to come in, you can still come in, and we'll still have an office space for you.
So I think the important thing there for anyone watching is, like, if this has the impact that some people are projecting it could have, being prepared for remote work is super important. And I think, like, we've shot videos before about this, but being ready that you could work remotely, even if it's not your preference, I think is really important, because so my preference is having people come to the office. We're not a remote work company because I like collaborating with people and drawing on a whiteboard and walking between their desks, and I just like that. So I think it's a preference thing. Yet tomorrow we could be remote. Like all the tools we use, project management and our Zoom meetings and our like agendas and like the obviously Trainual and like our word process, like every tool we use, we could just flip a switch and be remote. So I think that's an important measure that people should be taking is like, if you had to flip the switch and be remote tomorrow because everyone else was doing it and there's this like wave of panic and employees don't want to come in, like how can you still be productive with people working at home? So I think that's something people, if they're not already prepared for, should totally have like a 24-hour plan for.
What are your like 5 most important tools for optimizing remote work?
Email, Amazon Prime, I think.
Never leave the house again.
So like it's by Amazon stock, I feel like, right now.
Hand sanitizer stock.
Yeah, I mean like our we use Asana for project management, so like being plugged into that. We use Slack for our conversations, so that's super important. Trainual, I think, is obviously important for new people that are starting if you're getting them up to speed, or if you're having to outsource tasks that were previously done by someone. Like that's when you would need that as a tool. But you know, like I wouldn't even need that tomorrow. Like you have to be, I don't know, you just got to be ready to like do the work in the business, I think.
Yeah. Do you ever think that we'll get to a place where we have to do remote onboarding? Like, do you think there'll be months where we can't have people together in one spot? That freaks me out.
I mean, we onboarded Joanna remotely.
That's true.
I think we have certain people that are going to be around the world that we will remote onboard. So for sure.
Yeah.
But like it's more fun. Like our process, what we just posted about, is like getting people in the office, and I think there's a lot of energy and excitement and doing team events and all that. That's part of onboarding, but the content of onboarding, 100% could be remote. Like that's what Trainual does.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but like what's the ripple effect of this? Does it impact like sick days? Does it impact other policies? I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. I was thinking about this last night. We use JustWorks and we get One Medical with them, and it's a super easy to use tool for primary care, and they have video conferencing. And I was thinking like every one of our employees should make sure they have their account, that they go to see their PCP now, so then they have access to the video only. So if they do feel sick, they don't have to go to the doctor's office. It's not necessarily a policy, but just thinking through best practices, making sure you have everything on the remote and teledoc front to stay healthy or not infect other people if you do feel like you're getting sick. And then on our side, like being super remote friendly, and if you're not feeling great, of course, work from home. If you're sick, take your sick days, and then being flexible on piggybacking vacation days and working with them, or making sure your company has short-term disability. If like something like this is happening, people may be out for 2, 3, 4 weeks, depending on like how compromised they are. And so just making sure you have the contractor coverage, so you have the flexibility to ramp different flex resources up and down. You have short-term disability coverage, so folks still have jobs when they're done with the whole sickness. And those are the things I'm thinking about, making sure that people know that if they're sick, it's okay to take the time to recover, because I don't want them stressed out, worried about their job. And then I don't want the business to suffer. So how do you balance the two, you know?
Yeah, in terms of on the business side, this has already affected us dramatically in terms of like I was supposed to be in Australia this week. I was supposed to be in London 2 weeks from now. We had customer events planned in both countries. Had to cancel both of those. A conference was canceled that we were... 2 conferences that were canceled. Actually, the one in San Diego I was speaking at was canceled. The one in Australia I was attending was canceled. We had ourselves sponsored conferences that now we're unsure if they're going to even happen. So we've held back on, paying for booth design and the things that we were set to move on, because now we don't want to spend $100,000 and have the event be canceled and we can't get that money back. So I think that there's definitely a conservative feel that's new in the last week. And so hopefully this goes away and fades and the virus starts to fade. I know the flu kind of fades in the summer and with the hotter temperatures, so I'm hoping that we see that as well. But I love your tip about like the video teledoc, kind of telemedicine and being remote prepped. What about other travel? Like we had someone travel internationally and we just asked them to work from home a few weeks after, right? That was kind of
for right now, if you're going out of the country, you're working from home at least 14 days, and that's if you're not symptomatic in any way. If you do start to show symptoms, then it's potentially longer. Because my first priority would be protecting everybody here and then just trying to stop the spread as much as possible, because like most of our employees may get sick, but they probably will be okay. But we have older relatives and people that are probably immune compromised, and I don't want to be carriers and be the reason that other people are getting sick and potentially dying.
Yeah, what's crazy is that you might not show symptoms for a few days, and so people could be working together and like carrying it, but not know. And that's where I think some companies are just being proactive and saying, shut it down, no meetings, no whatever. But this could change day to day. My current opinion on it, on whatever March 11th is today, is Arizona doesn't have enough cases that the risk of exposure, I think, is that high yet. The flu is exponentially more prevalent. And I think if people are taking these hygienic measures, then being here working is no different than going to a coffee shop or whatever. And
you'll have to be legit home quarantine to make a difference.
Yeah. And it's hard, when we can't control what people do outside of work.
Yep.
So I think we're just day by day, like see what evolves. But in terms of like policies we're changing, things we're putting in place, it's really just work from home flexibility. It's the readiness with the tools that we use, and the software stack. It's the being proactive and telling people, like, if you're uncomfortable, don't come in. Like, that's totally fine. We're being more understanding there. Is there anything else we can be doing right now, you think?
No, I think we have a super generous PTO policy. So I think for those that don't, just making sure that you're accommodating, that you have paid time off for folks if they do get sick, and allowing them to piggyback vacation days, and making sure if you don't have short-term disability, get it next year in case things escalate. But yeah, I think it's just like flexibility and understanding to make sure like your employees are okay.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I'm sad.
I guess it is like, it's kind of like, I don't know what to do, but other than just, wait and see. It's sort of a weird
very
situation.
strange. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I want it to go away.
Yeah.
I want everything to be happy again.
All right. Well, I gotta go wash my hands.
Okay. Bye.